The rehearsal dinner should have been about my sister Emma and her fiancé Bradley. Instead, it became another discussion of my perpetual single status. "A toast to Emma and Bradley," my Aunt Linda announced. Finally, a Morrison daughter who figured out how to keep a man. The table erupted in laughter. I sat at the far end, phone face down beside my plate. My mother Patricia jumped in. "At least one sister won't need wedding planning. Olivia's married to her career. We've accepted it." At 33, I'd heard this for years. My younger sister Emma, 28, had been dating Bradley for 18 months. Now she was getting married and my family acted like she'd won while I'd been left behind. "Olivia's just too focused on that consulting work," my father Richard added. "Men don't like women who travel constantly." What they didn't know was that my consulting work was executive advising for Thorn Capital, one of the world's largest private equity firms. My client list included Fortune 500 CEOs and international conglomerates. They also didn't know about Alexander Thorn, heir to Thorn Capital, Harvard business graduate, and the man I'd been secretly engaged to for 3 months. We'd kept our relationship private. His family's wealth attracted constant media attention, and I'd wanted to build my career on merit. The engagement ring locked in my hotel safe had cost more than Emma's entire wedding budget. A flawless 5-carat diamond that belonged to his grandmother. We were planning a quiet ceremony in the Maldives next month. But my family didn't know. To them, I was Olivia, the workaholic destined to die alone. Emma stood up, flushed with champagne. "I want to thank everyone. And Olivia, don't worry. Your time will come. Maybe you'll catch the bouquet tomorrow." More laughter. My cousin Jessica whispered loudly, "At this point, Olivia would rather catch a business card." I checked my phone under the table. A text from Alexander. "Landing at Riverside Regional at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Can't wait to see you. Should I wear the Tom Ford or keep it casual?" I typed back, "Surprise me. Fair warning. My family thinks I'm terminally single." His response, "Not for much longer. Time to make an entrance." We'd agreed to keep things quiet until after Emma's wedding. But Alexander had insisted on attending. "I'm not missing your sister's wedding," he'd said. "And I'm tired of pretending we're not together." Bradley's father stood for his toast. "To Emma, who convinced my son to give up his bachelor lifestyle. Unlike some women," he glanced at me, "Emma knows success isn't everything. Sometimes you need to prioritize relationships." The implication was clear. I'd chosen wrong. The wedding day arrived with perfect spring weather. The ceremony at Riverside Manor was scheduled for 5 o'clock. I spent the morning helping Emma with preparations, listening to her friends discuss relationships while pointedly not asking about mine. "Olivia's just focused on her career," Emma explained to bridesmaids. "She travels constantly. It's admirable, really. Not everyone needs a relationship to be fulfilled." The words carried pity underneath. At 3 o'clock my phone buzzed. "Alexander, landed early. Where should I meet you?" "Stay at the hotel for now. Ceremony starts at 5. Or I could just come to the venue now." "Alexander, no. This is Emma's day." "Fine. But I'm not hiding anymore, Liv. We've done this long enough." The ceremony was beautiful. Emma looked radiant, Bradley nervous but happy. I stood with the bridesmaids, playing my role as supportive older sister. During cocktail hour, the comments continued. "Olivia, any prospects?" Uncle Tom asked. "Still married to the job," my mother answered for me. "Chicago next week, then London. No time for dating." She didn't know I was in London because Alexander's family had offices there, and we were house hunting in Kensington. At 5:45 p.m. I checked my phone. "Alexander, getting restless. How much longer?" "Toast start at 6:30. Come after that." "Coming now. Sorry, Liv." I tried. My stomach dropped. He'd arrived during dinner, before the toasts, where my family would make more jokes about my single status. At 6 o'clock, the DJ announced the bridal party entrance. I walked alone. Guests whispered sympathetically. Dinner service began. I picked at my salmon, aware of the empty seat beside me that my family had left vacant rather than seat me with a random guest. At 6:25 p.m., my father stood up to begin toasts. "I want to thank everyone for celebrating with us," he began. "Emma and Bradley, you found something special. Real partnership, real love." He paused, looking at me. As the father of 2 daughters, I always wondered if both would find this happiness. Emma, you've made it easy. You've always known what mattered, building a life with someone. The implication hung in the air. My mother stood next. Emma, watching you become this beautiful bride has been the joy of my life. You've always been so good at relationships, so warm. She glanced at me. Not everyone has that gift. Olivia, we love you just as much even though your path looks different. Even though your path looks different. Code for, even though you're alone. Then Emma stood, slightly tipsy, grabbing the microphone. I want to say something about my sister. Olivia is the smartest, most successful person I know. She's traveled the world, built an incredible career and never needed anyone to complete her. Guest smiled approvingly. So while I'm getting married today, I want everyone to know my sister is just as happy in her own way. Right, Liv? You don't need a man to be complete. The applause was enthusiastic and pitying. Then I heard it. Helicopter rotors. The reception fell silent as the noise grew louder. The venue coordinator rushed outside, then back in, face pale. There's a helicopter landing on the lawn. Through the windows we watched as a sleek black helicopter touched down. The Thorn Capital logo visible on its side. The door opened. Alexander Thorn stepped out. He wore the Tom Ford suit, charcoal gray, impeccably tailored with a light blue tie matching my bridesmaid dress. He looked like he'd walked off a magazine cover. Alexander walked directly toward the reception entrance while 300 guests stared in stunned silence. Emma grabbed my arm. Olivia, who is that? Alexander entered the hall. He scanned the room, found me and smiled. Sorry I'm late, he said, his voice carrying. Traffic was terrible. He walked to my table, leaned down and kissed me. Not a polite peck. A real kiss that made it clear we weren't casual acquaintances. When he pulled back he took my hand. The one with the engagement ring I'd forgotten to remove this morning. Alexander lifted my hand, making the 5-carat diamond impossible to miss. I know we agreed to keep things quiet, he said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear, but I'm done hiding. This is my fiancé, and I'm not spending one more event pretending she's single. The room erupted. My mother stood so fast her chair fell backwards. Fiancé? Olivia, what is he talking about? Emma stared at the ring, then at Alexander. You're engaged? Since when? 3 months, I said quietly. We were keeping it private. Bradley's father recognized Alexander. Wait, is that Alexander Thorn? From Thorn Capital. Yes, Alexander confirmed, his arm around my waist. Olivia's been advising my family's company for 2 years. She's the lead consultant on our international expansion. My father's face had gone through several colors. You're engaged to Alexander Thorn and didn't tell us? You never asked, I said simply. You were too busy discussing my perpetual single status. Alexander addressed the room. I apologize for interrupting this celebration. Emma, Bradley, congratulations. Your sister has told me wonderful things about you both. He turned to my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Morrison, I should have introduced myself properly. I've asked Olivia to marry me, and I hope we can celebrate our engagement. After Emma's wedding, of course. Emma found her voice. You've been engaged for 3 months and didn't tell me? You never asked about my personal life, I replied. Every conversation was about your wedding planning. I tried to mention I was seeing someone several times, but you always changed the subject to seating charts and flowers. Bradley's father pulled out his phone, Googling. His eyes widened. Alexander Thorn, CEO of Thorn Capital. Net worth estimated at, oh my God. Whispers spread through the reception like wildfire. Guests frantically searched phones, pulling up articles about Alexander, about Thorn Capital, about the family's wealth. Emma looked at Bradley, then at me, expression cycling between shock and something like jealousy. This whole time while planning my wedding, you were engaged to him? Yes. But this was your day, Emma. I didn't want to overshadow it. Well, you've certainly done that now. Alexander squeezed my hand. That was my fault. She wanted to wait. I couldn't stand watching people pity her for one more minute. Guests swarmed our table. Bradley's associates wanted to network with Alexander. Relatives wanted engagement details. The bridesmaids who'd pitied me an hour ago now looked at me with new eyes. My mother pulled me aside. Olivia, why didn't you tell us? I tried, Mom. Multiple times. But every conversation became about how I was too focused on work, how I'd never find anyone. You never actually asked about my life. You just made assumptions. Emma appeared, bridal glow dimmed. Liv, we're sisters. Why wouldn't you tell me? In the past year, how many times have you asked about my personal life? About dating? She opened her mouth, then closed it. We were always talking about the wedding. Exactly. Every time I tried to mention I was seeing someone, you'd interrupt with bridesmaid dress questions. Eventually, I stopped trying. Alexander handed me champagne. For what it's worth, Olivia wanted to tell you. But she knew how important this day was and didn't want to steal your spotlight. Instead, you landed a helicopter at my reception, Emma said, but with less spite. I did. And I apologize for the dramatic entrance. But I'm not apologizing for making it clear your sister isn't the perpetually single workaholic your family thinks she is. The reception continued, but the energy had shifted. Emma and Bradley's hashtag Emma found her forever, started trending, but not for their reasons. Social media lit up with photos of Alexander's helicopter, speculation about our relationship. Emma pulled me aside later. I'm happy for you. I just wish you'd trusted me enough to tell me. I did trust you. I just didn't trust the timing. She glanced at guests still buzzing. This isn't what I imagined for my wedding day. I know. I'm sorry. Don't be. Actually, I'm sorry. For the jokes about you being single, for not asking about your life. Alexander appeared with Bradley. Emma, Bradley, I'd like to make this up to you. How would you feel about using my family's villa in Santorini for your honeymoon? It's empty next month. Emma's eyes widened. The Thorn Villa in Santorini? From Architectural Digest. It's yours for 2 weeks. My wedding gift. My parents approached as evening wound down. Olivia, I owe you an apology, my father said. Several, actually. We've spent years dismissing your choices, my mother added. Assuming you were alone because you were too focused on work. Why didn't you tell us about the consulting role? My father asked. I did. You heard, consulting, and assumed it was small scale. You never asked for details. As Alexander and I prepared to leave, Emma hugged me tightly. I want to hear everything. Every detail. No more secrets. No more secrets. We walked to the helicopter hand in hand. Behind us, 300 guests watched. My family's perception had shifted entirely in 2 hours. As the helicopter lifted off, I looked down at Riverside Manor, at Emma's celebration continuing, at my family who finally saw me clearly. They'd called me forever single during toasts, made jokes about my unmarried status, pitted my career-focused life. They hadn't known about the 5-carat diamond, the private villa, the man who loved me enough to land a helicopter at my sister's wedding just to stop people from feeling sorry for me. Their wedding hashtag changed overnight. Hashtag Emma found her forever became hashtag Olivia was always found. Because I was never lost. I was exactly where I'd chosen to be, building a life remarkable enough that it didn't need their validation to matter. Though their belated recognition was satisfying nonetheless. My phone exploded with notifications as the helicopter flew toward the city. Text messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Instagram follows from Emma's friends who'd ignored me at the reception. LinkedIn requests from Bradley's business contacts. Alexander squeezed my hand. Regrets. About us? Never. About the timing? Maybe a little. Your sister will forgive you. She already has, actually. Did you see her face when I offered the Santorini villa? I smiled despite myself. That was generous. It was strategic. Can't have my future sister-in-law hating me. He pulled out his phone. Speaking of which, my mother just texted. He saw the photos online. She's thrilled we're finally public and wants to host an engagement party next month. Your mother knows about the helicopter landing? The whole world knows about the helicopter landing. We're trending on 3 different platforms. He showed me his phone. The top trending topic was hashtag helicopter proposal, even though it wasn't a proposal. We need to correct that, I said. Already done. My PR team issued a statement clarifying we've been engaged for 3 months and I was simply attending my fiancé's family event. He scrolled through responses. The internet loves it, by the way. Billionaire crashes wedding to defend his secret fiancé, is apparently very romantic. My phone rang. Emma's name flashed on screen. Should I answer? Definitely answer. I picked up. Emma, I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing, she interrupted. I'm calling because Bradley and I just looked up the Santorini villa. Olivia, it's worth $12 million. Your fiancé just gave us a honeymoon that costs more than our house. He feels bad about the helicopter. The helicopter was insane, but also kind of amazing. Everyone's talking about my wedding. We're viral. My wedding planner just called. Apparently 3 magazines want to feature the story. The wedding crashed by a billionaire's love. I could hear the smile in her voice. So you're not angry? I'm processing. But mostly I'm realizing I've been a terrible sister. You spent months listening to me obsess over centerpieces while you were engaged to Alexander Thorne. That must have been exhausting. A little, I admitted. Mom's losing her mind, by the way. She's been on the phone with Aunt Linda for 40 minutes explaining how she always knew you were destined for greatness. Dad's telling anyone who'll listen that he always supported your consulting career. They called it my little business yesterday. I know. They're rewriting history in real time. It's actually kind of funny. She paused. Liv, I really am happy for you. And I'm sorry I didn't ask about your life more. I got so wrapped up in my own wedding that I forgot to be your sister. You're forgiven. Enjoy Santorini. Oh, we will. Liv. Next time you get engaged to a billionaire, maybe give me a heads up before he lands a helicopter at my wedding. I laughed. Deal. Though knowing Alexander, there probably won't be a next time. He's a one helicopter entrance kind of guy. After we hung up, Alexander pulled me close. See? Everything's fine. Your family knows the truth, your sister's happy, and we can finally stop hiding. We're still doing the Maldives ceremony, right? Just family. Absolutely. Though given today's performance, my mother might insist on arriving by yacht. The helicopter touched down at the private airfield where Alexander's jet waited. As we transferred from one aircraft to another, I thought about the wedding reception we'd left behind. About my family's shock, Emma's viral moment, and the assumptions that had finally been shattered. They'd spent years pitying me, never knowing I'd built exactly the life I wanted. The career, the relationship, the future. All of it constructed deliberately, privately, on my own terms. The validation felt good. But the real satisfaction came from knowing I'd never needed it in the first place. I'd always been complete. They just finally saw it.